Hello everybody and welcome to part 6 of our character setup videos for Unreal Engine 4. In the previous video we made it so our weapon can shoot. We have a little impact effects and muzzle flash going on. We can choose different weapon types, so we have a single shot, we have a shotgun and we have an automatic weapon. And in this video we're going to continue with that. First we're going to make a few small fixes to the stuff we already did. After that we're going to make some changes to our HUD so we can have a crosshair, and we're going to put a message on the screen when we are reloading. And we're probably going to add the reload functionality as well in this video, so let's quickly start off and see how much we can get done. So first of all, as I mentioned, we're going to make a few fixes. So open our base character blueprint. And there's a few small things I forgot in here. First, in the primary attack event, we want to connect up one branch. If we go back here, we have the auto firing branch and the burst fire branch. As you can see, the false pin is not connected to anything right now. We need to connect it up to this one, which is the rechamber branch. So that's fixed. Now for this branch I picked the wrong variable. This is the player variable that tells if we are rechambering, but we need the weapon variable. So we're going to delete the is rechamber and we're going to drag in the CW rechamber, like so. Now we need to go to the beginning of this function where we set up this branch. Apparently this doesn't work like that. I changed it up so I thought it looked a bit neater, but we're going to change it back to the original setup. So we're just going to add 4 NOT nodes in here. It's not the most elegant solution, but it works, and we can easily see we not need to be reloading or not firing, so we're going to connect this up like so. That should fix that. And then we have one small thing left to do, and that's inside our bullet trace function. So open the bullet trace function, and in our last multi-trace we didn't plug in our actors to ignore, so we're going to copy that from the first trace, select the self make array nodes, copy those, paste them over here and plug them into the actors to ignore array like so. So now we got everything fixed and everything should work like it should. And we're going to continue with adding a little crosshair image to our HUD. So first we need another folder, or we don't need it, but I'm going to make another folder and I'm going to call it textures. So you can just look for a crosshair image on Google or something and download it. I've got this PNG crosshair over here, so I'm going to simply drag in this image into the folders over here, and it's going to import it. It needs to have a transparent background. Over here you can see it has the checkerboard, so that means it's transparent. And we're going to open our HUD now, so go to the UI folder and open the player HUD. In here we're going to add an image to our HUD, so drag in the image from the top left and drop it right on top of your canvas panel. We're going to rename this, just for organization's sake. Let's call this crosshair. It doesn't need to be a variable, so turn it off again over here. So drag it roughly to the center of the screen, that doesn't matter. So over here from the appearance we're going to go to the brush and we can fill in our image. So if we go to the texture folder we just created, select our image, and we're going to click the little arrow over here. So now it's using our crosshair image. Scroll up again and make it anchor to the center of the screen, so select this one. And now we're going to fill in our positions, put them at 0 at first, and I'm going to resize it, make it 25 by 25 maybe. So now you can see it's got the top left corner aligned to the center of the screen, so we're going to divide this by 2 and adjust our position, so minus 12.5 minus 12.5. So now our crosshair is nicely aligned to the center of our screen. Next we're going to add 2 text widgets, so drop a text widget right on top of your canvas panel. Select this one and type in reloading. I'm going to change the color over here, so click the little color bar and I'm going to set it to a little reddish color, like so, and save the color over here. Press OK. I'm going to make it a little bit transparent, so turn up the alpha, 0.75, oh, not minus, 0.75. And the next thing I'm going to do is reduce the font size a little bit, make it font 20, and I'm going to center align it, justification center over here. Anchor it to the center of the screen again, like so, and set your position to 0, 0. Now we're going to adjust the size a little bit so it fits inside our box. So make this a nice round value, make it 140, and now we can center it, make it minus 70, and put it a little bit above our crosshair, so let's say minus 60. Yeah, that looks fine. The reloading text. Now I'm going to go over here, I'm going to say copy. I'm going to select my canvas panel, right click, and I'm going to say paste. So now I got another reloading text. I'm going to change the text here and say rechambering. Let's expand this a little bit so it fits inside our box. Make it a nice round value, so go for 190 over here. Divide this by 2, so it's 95 minus 95. And let's drop it down a little bit, 30 units down, so it's below our crosshair, like this. The next thing we want to do is set up our visibility for these objects. First, let's do the crosshair, so select it over here on the left and scroll down a bit to the behavior. You can see by default it's visible, that's fine. We want to create a binding for this, so click the bind button and do create binding. This will create a new bind function, and in here we're going to get our owning player, so hold Control and drag in the owning player from the variables. And from the owning player we want to get is reloading, and we also want to get is rechambering. Get is rechamber. So if any of these are true, we are going to hide the crosshair. So we're going to drag off this and say or boolean. Connect up this one as well. We're going to add a branch in between here. Connect this up to the condition, like so. So if we are reloading or we are rechambering, we're going to set our crosshair to hidden, like so. And we're going to copy and paste the return node and set it back to visible if we are not reloading or not rechambering, like so. Now go back to the designer and select your reloading text. Again, scroll down to the behavior. Now by default we want to set this to hidden, so select hidden and again create a binding. So click the little bind button and create binding. We can rename this if we like, so let's say get reloading visibility, like so. And for this one we want to know if we are reloading and we are not rechambering. So we're going to drag off the owning player again and type get is reloading. Do once more and get is rechambering. We need this to be not true, so we're going to drag off rechamber and type not boolean, and we're simply going to connect these up to an AND node, and boolean, and plug these into the branch we create down here. So create a branch, plug this into the condition. If we are reloading and we are not rechambering, we want the text to be visible, and if we copy and paste the return node and set this to hidden, connect this up to the false, and we should be good to go. Go back to the designer one last time and we're going to do our rechambering text. So again, scroll down to the behavior. By default we want to set this to hidden. We're going to create a binding for this. Let's rename this get rechamber visibility. And for this one we simply want to know if we are rechambering, so we're going to drag in our owning player, drag off this type get is rechamber, create a branch down here, plug in the condition. If this is true, we want to set the text to visible, and if it's false, we want to hide it again. So we're going to set it to hidden, connect this to the false branch, and we should be good to go. Compile this, and let's close this down. And now let's see if this is working. So if we're going in game, we have a little crosshair in the center of our screen, and it looks like we're exactly firing where our crosshair is at. So that's pretty nice. Now we don't actually have a reloading or a rechambering set up, so we're not able to check those out yet, but we will in a little bit. So let's continue. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to show you quickly how you can set up new weapons, and we can test if our rechambering is working and our burst is working. Or no, I'm going to do that at the end of the video, so then we also have a reloading and we can check everything at once. So forget about that. We're just going to continue in the base character, and we're going to create a new function for our aiming. So we zoom in and our spread is reduced when we aim. So for this, first we need to add a variable to our weapon info struct. So open the info struct for the weapons. Create a new variable in here and call this zoom FOV, so zoom FOV, and this is going to be a float, and I'm going to set the default value for this to something like 50. That's fine. Save and close this down. Now let's open our weapon table, and for the secondary one I'm going to change the default value from 50 and make it 60. Just like so. Now we're going into the base character blueprint, and we need to add two variables again. So I'm going to expand my weapon variables, and I'm going to duplicate a float, and I'm going to call this CW underscore zoom FOV, like so. And I'm also going to create another float, and that's going to be called normal spread. And that's also a float, so that's fine. Now first thing we're going to do is we're going to add our CW zoom FOV into our set active weapon variables. So open the set active weapon variables function, and we need to get rid of this empty pin over here. So we're going to drag in our zoom FOV, connect it to the execution branch, and connect this up to the output over here. So that's set up and good to go. Close this down, and now we're going to our event graph. Let me put a comment around this primary attack stuff. Primary attack events, like this. And now let's look for our sprinting and our aiming, which is over here. Aim events, we're going to start off with the start aim event. So for this we need to make a few changes, and we're going to make them right after we set our is aiming to true. So disconnect the execution pin over here and move this stuff over to the side so we get a little bit of room, like so. Now the first thing we're going to do over here is we're going to set our normal spread variable, so drag it in while holding Alt, and we're going to set it to our CW spread, so drop that right on top of here. So we have our original spread value saved right now. The next thing we're going to do is set the spread, so CW spread, drag it in while holding Alt, and we're going to divide this by 2. So get a getter for the spread and divide it, float divided by float. Divide this by 2 and plug it into the CW spread again, so now it's reduced. And the next thing we're going to do is zoom in our follow camera, so we need to get a reference to that. Let's drag in the camera while holding Control. And from this camera we want to drag off and type set field of view. And you want to get the one in the variable section down below, so not the function but the variable setting, set field of view. Select this one, connect it up to here, and we want to set it to our current field of view. So we're going to do drag of the camera and type get field of view. And we're simply going to do -5. So float minus float. Type in 5 over here and plug it into the field of view, like so. Now we're going to create a branch here. And this branch is going to check our current field of view. So again, drag off the camera and type get field of view. And we want to know if this is still smaller than our zoom FOV, or sorry, bigger. So drag off this and type is greater than. Drag in our zoom FOV over here. And plug this into the condition. So we're going to reduce our zoom of field of view by 5. And after that we're going to check if it's still greater than what we want it to be in our zoom FOV. If it is, we're going to add a delay. And we're going to make it a real small delay, so type in 0.005 seconds. The complete pin, we're going to hook it back up to the field of view setter. So now it's going to loop, and we're going to have a smooth transition between our 90 and 50 field of view instead of switching it to it at once. So once this is done, the false pin will execute, and we're simply going to connect that back up to our set walk speed, so like this. That should do it for reducing our spread and zooming in our camera. So all we need to do now is go to our stop aim event and make sure we zoom back out if we stop aiming. So we're going to go to the stop aim event, move to the side a bit where you see the set is aiming false, and disconnect the execution pin over here. Drag this stuff to the side so we get some room. First thing we're going to do is set our spread back to the original value, so we're going to drag in our CW spread, get a setter for it, and we're going to set it back to our normal spread variable, so drag that on top of here. And the next thing we're going to do is zoom out our camera again. So get the follow camera. From this you want to say set field of view. You want to get the current field of view, so get field of view. And you want to add 5 to this, so float plus float. Fill in 5 and connect it to the setter over here. Make sure you connect up this one as well. So after this we're going to create a branch again to check our current field of view, so get field of view. And we want to know if this is smaller than 90, because 90 is the default value. So smaller than 90, connect it up to the condition, and if it's true we're going to add a small delay. And we're going to loop back to the setter, just like this. Again, we put the same delay in here, 0.005. So this should make the camera zoom out smoothly again. And after we did that, let me double check. After we did that, we can simply plug it back to our sprinting branch. So connect up the false to this one, and we should be good to go with this. Now there's one thing we need to change in the sprint events, and that's if we start sprinting, we want to check if we are aiming, and if we are, we want to make sure we zoom out our camera again. So we're going to create a little bit of room over here, disconnect from the start sprint, and we're going to drag off here and create a branch. We want to know if we are currently aiming, so we're going to drag on our isAiming boolean. If we are aiming, we're going to call the stop aim function. And after that we're going to continue, and if we're not aiming, we're simply going to continue like so. And that should work. So what we're going to do next is compile this and check this out in game. So now if I walk around and I press my mouse button, you can see my camera zooms in, and my spread will also reduce by the value of 2. And if I release my mouse button, I'm zooming back out again. So that pretty much is working. You can also see my spread shot weapon is zooming a little bit less in, is zooming in less than my AR is, because I set a different zoom FOV in the info structure. Now let me show you the spread reduction is working as well. So I'm going to go to my bullet trace event and I'm going to set the line traces to visible. So I'm going to set the debug draw type to duration. And now you can see if I fire my weapon, my spread is reduced. So I'm going to select my automatic rifle and first I'm going to fire a few rounds like this. You can see it's a pretty big spread cone, and if I move to the side and shoot while aiming, you can see the spread cone is nicely reduced. So reducing our spread works as well. Again, for the shotgun, if I fire a big wide spread and if I zoom in and fire a much tighter spread. So that's working. Sweet. Let me see, what do we want to do next? I think we need to make a reload event so we can actually reload our clip when it's empty. So we're going to close our bullet trace function and we're going to create a new variable in our base character So let's look for an empty spot in the event graph and first create the variable over here. We're going to call this reload difference, and this one is going to be an integer, like so. And we have to create a new input in our project settings. So we're going to close this down for now, edit, project settings, and go to your inputs. For the action mapping, add a new action mapping, and I'm going to call this reload. And I'm going to assign a few buttons to this. I'd like to reload with my mouse wheel, so I'm going to say mouse wheel up and mouse wheel down are both reloading. And I'm also going to add the R key on my keyboard. So I have 3 different options to reload right now. Close this down. Go to my base character event graph again. And let's start by making the function, or the event in this case. So we're going to right click and we're going to look for event reload. And from here we're going to continue. Let me scroll down in my notes a little bit. So first we want to check a few things. Can we actually reload? So if our clip is not full and if our stock is greater than 0 and we're not already reloading. So let's create a branch over here. Connect this up like so. We want to know if our current clip, so get the CW ammo clip, it's an array, so we want to get a copy of whatever's in our active weapon slot. And we want to know if this is smaller than, so drag off and type smaller than integer, if this is smaller than our max ammo clip, so if we actually fired a bullet or not. From this we're going to drag off and do end boolean, and we want to check if we actually have ammo to reload, so we want to check our ammo stock. So drag in the CW ammo stock. Again, this is an array, so we want to get a copy of whatever's in our active weapon slot, like so. And we want to know if this value is greater than 0. So drag off and do is greater than integer, greater than 0, and just plug it in like this. Now we need a third pin over here, and we want to see if we are not already reloading. So we're going to drag in is reloading, drag off this and type not boolean, and plug it into this pin. Plug this into the condition like so, and we have our first check. So we're going to say if our clip is not full and our stock is greater than 0 and we are not already reloading. So after this we are going to set is reloading to true. So drag in our is reloading variable over here. Connect this up to the true pin, and you want to set this to true. And we want to create another branch again. So first of all, hold B and click. Now for this branch, we're going to check if we are in a rechambering state or not. If we are, we're going to wait a little bit till the rechamber is finished, and then we're going to automatically continue reloading. So the player doesn't need to keep pressing the button while he is rechambering. So let me drag in the is rechamber over here, and we're going to drop that right on top of the condition. And if this is true, we're going to add a delay node of 0.05 seconds, and we're just going to loop back to the beginning of the branch. So for however long our rechambering is true, we're going to wait. After that, we're going to create another branch. So hold B and click. And for this branch, we want to know if we are sprinting or not. So drag on our is sprinting. And if we are sprinting, we're simply going to call our stop sprint function. And then we're going to continue with our reload. So that's fine like this. Let me get to my notes again. So after we did this, we're going to add a delay node. So drag off here and type delay. Connect up the stop sprint as well. And we're going to wait for half our reload time. So we're going to get our reload time, drag it in and divide it by 2. Float divided by float. Divide this by 2 and plug it into the duration. Like so. And now we're going to calculate how much ammo we actually need to put in our clip. So first we're going to set our reload difference. Hold Alt and drag it in. Connect this up. And we want to know, let me see, where are we? We are going to get our max ammo clip. Hold Control and drag this in. And from this we're going to do minus whatever is left in our clip. So we're going to get our current ammo clip, drag off this and do get a copy. And we want to get what's in our active weapon slot. And we simply want to do minus. So drag off the max ammo, do minus integer and plug in the result of the current ammo into the other pin. So this is the amount of ammo we need to put into our clip to make sure it's full again. So that's stored in our reload difference right now. And we're going to add another branch over here. And we're going to check if our current ammo stock. So drag off this and do get a copy. And again get this from our active weapon slot. We want to know if the ammo stock for this weapon slot is greater than or equal to the amount of bullets we need to put in our clip, and that's our reload difference. So we're going to put that right on top of here. Come on, just like this. Plug this into the condition. So if this is true, that means we can actually reload to a full clip and we need to subtract the reload difference from our stock. And if this is false, we can only put whatever is left in our stock into our clip and we're going to set our stock to 0. So let's start with the true branch. We're going to drag off here and type set array element like this. And the first thing we want to set is our clip. So we're going to drop in our CW ammo clip onto the target array. We want to do it for our active weapon slot, so we plug that into our index. And we can simply set this to our CW max ammo clip, because the clip is going to be filled all the way. So plug it in like this. Now after that we need to set our ammo stock, so we're going to copy this set array element node, plug it in, and we're going to get the CW ammo stock, drop it right on top of the target array. We want to do this for our active weapon slot, so drop that on top of the index. And what we want to fill in here is our current ammo stock, so we're going to get this node again. We're going to do get a copy. We want to get a copy of what's in our active weapon slot. And we want to do minus the reload difference, so minus integer. and we're going to get our reload difference from here and plug it right into this one, and this should be the result for our ammo stock, like so. Let me double check real quickly. Ammo stock minus reload difference, yeah, that should be fine. Okay. Now we're going to go to the false pin over here. Again, we're going to do set array element, so connect this one up. We're going to set our CW ammo clip, and we're going to set it for our active weapon slot, like this. This time we are able to set it to whatever left in our clip, plus whatever's left in our stock, because we can't make a full reload. We already determined that over here. So we're going to do CW ammo clip. We're going to get a copy. And we want to know what's in our active weapon slot, so we get that. And we're going to copy these two nodes. And we're going to plug in our CW ammo stock over here. So whatever is left in our stock, and we're going to add those up. So integer plus integer. And we're going to plug it into the item like so. So that's our new clip value. And then for the ammo stock, we can simply copy over these three nodes. So CW ammo stock, the active weapon slot, and the set array element. And paste it over here. And we're going to set our stock to 0 because this is all the ammo we have left. So simple as that, and that should be good to go. Now after this, we're going to add a small delay node again. So drag off one of these and look for delay. Plug in the other one as well. And we are going to wait for half the reload time again. So drag it in, divide it by 2, float divided by float. And let's enter our value over here, 2, and plug it into our duration. And after that, all we need to do is set our isReloading back to false. So plug it in and make sure it's set back to false. Now this should do it for our reloading event, but we are going to add a few small things. So go all the way to the beginning where you got the input action reload node, and we're going to create another custom event over here. So add custom event, and we are going to call this auto reload when empty. Auto reload when empty, and we're going to plug this into the first branch as well, like so. And now we are going to go to our primary attack event. So let's go over here, and if you notice, we have these 3 branches at the beginning, and the last one where we have no ammo in our clip, we're going to connect the auto reload to this false pin. So drag off the false pin and type auto reload when empty and call that event. And we're also going to go all the way to the end of this function, and we're going to add another branch in here. So hold B and click. Make sure you connect up both of the execution pins to this new branch. And we want to know if our current ammo is 0, so we're going to get our current ammo clip, drag off this, do get a copy, and we want to know it from our active weapon slot, like so. And we want to know if this is 0, so equal 0, and plug it into the condition like this. If this is true, we're going to call our auto reload function as well, so we automatically reload if we emptied our clip. That's fine, that should do. And now for the last thing we need to change is go to our sprint function. So let's look for that sprint event, the start sprint event over here, and we want to check if we are not reloading, so we cannot sprint while we are reloading. So we're going to drag off the start branch, the start pin, disconnect it and make a little bit of room. We're going to add another branch over here, and we're going to say if we are reloading, we are going to stop execution. So simply connect the branch, drag in is reloading, and we want to connect the false pin. So if reloading is false, we are going to continue. Let me double check real quickly if I didn't forget anything. I think this should work right now, so let's compile and check it out in game. We can fire a few bullets, and now I can reload. The text goes on screen and my clip is filled up, so it looks like this is working. If I'm sprinting and I'm reloading, I'm automatically go back to running, so that's fine, that's working. And if I'm already sprinting and I press reload, yeah, everything is working over here, I think. Looks good, looks good. If we empty a clip, we automatically reload, so that's fine as well. And while we are reloading, our crosshair disappears, so that's a nice touch as well. This all looks to be good. So I think we got most things covered for this video. What I quickly want to show you is how you can simply add new weapons to this. So we have our data table, and if we open this up and we make a rechambering weapon, for example, so we're going to add the little plus sign over here, and we're going to say, call this Murdoch Shoddy, Murdoch underscore Shoddy. We're going to make this called the Spaz 12 maybe, so fill in Spaz 12. This is going to be a shotgun. Let's leave it to single shot, that's fine. The pellet count or the shot count, we're going to turn it up to 8. Ammo stock 80, clip stock 8. The fire delay, let's make it 0.2. Burst delay, we don't need that. The reload time, that's fine. We're going to crank up the spread a little bit, make it 1.2. Now we're going to enable rechambering for this weapon, and we're going to set the rechamber time to 0.8 maybe, something like that. Make sure we have our muzzle socket, so muzzle underscore 01. And we need the muzzle flash and the impact effects. I'm going to get this from here, so I'm going to click on this little sign. It's going to go to the asset browser, and then if I click this little arrow, it will automatically populate this as well. I'm going to do the same for the impact effects. Oh, damn it, I screwed up over here. Let me go over here and replace it, and also replace this one. So this should be our rechambering weapon, and let's also add a burst fire weapon to check if that's working as well. So we're going to call this Murdoch Burst. And let's call this, I don't know, ARX. Why not? This is going to be a normal weapon, that's fine. We're going to set fire type burst. And for the shot count, we can enter how many bullets should be in one burst. So if we put 3 in here, it's going to be a 3-round burst. Now let's enter some values, 180, 35 maybe, that's fine. Fire delay, let's leave it to 008. The burst delay, let's crank this up a little bit so we can check if this is working. Let's put it to something like 1 second. So after we fired one burst, we need to wait 1 second before we can fire another burst. Then the reload time, that's fine. The spread, we don't need rechambering. Rechamber time, we need a muzzle socket, so let's put in muzzle underscore 01 again. And once more, we're going to plug in our impact FX and our muzzle flash, like so. So now we added the Murdoch Shoddy and the Murdoch Burst. We're going to close this down, and we go into our characters BP. And make sure we give those new weapons right at the beginning of the game. So copy and paste this node 2 times. And connect everything up. Now for this one, it's going to be Murdoch Shoddy. Inventory slot number 3. And we're going to give 80 and 8, so that's full ammo. And for this one, it's going to be Murdoch Burst. inventory slot 4, and we're going to give it 180 in 35, I think I put in there. Let's compile and play this. So first we start out with our normal single shot weapon, and that's fine, that's working. The next one is our spread shot, so that's the special weapon, the pistol with the 18 shot count. Ridiculous but fun. Next one we have our fully automatic AR, and that's also still working. Now we can switch to our SPAS 12, which is the new shotgun we added, and we have our rechambering animation, or not animation, but we have a rechambering state, and it's going to display on the screen that it's rechambering, and if it is, we can fire, so that's working as well. And last we have our ARX, and that's a burst weapon, and you can see it's firing 3 rounds in a burst, and after it did I need to wait 1 full second before I can fire it again. So our fire delay and our burst delay is working as we expect it to do. So we can reload our weapons, we have a spread reduction, we can zoom in, we have a burst weapon working, we have a shotgun working. I think we're pretty much in the way of creating a small little shooter. So I'm gonna leave it here for this video. Thanks for watching guys, and I'll see you later. Bye bye.